You're watching Camera64, your home for great tips and tricks. And this is Alfonso Chavez, and we are back. This evening we are here at Converse Park, and as you can see behind me, there is a game going on. Today we're going to go over some of the steps that I use to set up my camera when I'm out on shoots. And it's the same steps that I show new photographers when they come to our class, which happens to be every Wednesday from 6 to 9. The address is 320 El Paso Street, and it is in beautiful downtown San Antonio. So the first thing I always tell new students is the best way to learn photography if you're new is to learn the right way from the very beginning. And the best way to do that is by shooting your camera in manual. And the way you want to do that is always establish light. That's what I always do when I'm in a new scene and want to figure out how to get started taking my pictures. I want to evaluate an area, so if I'm out in the sun, I know that my main light is going to be the sun, and so I set up my exposure for the sun and work my way backwards from there. Say if I was in a church or if I was out in a venue type area, I want to always evaluate the light and kind of get an idea of what the light looks like, and also determine if the lights are strong enough or are going to put out enough light so that I can shoot without a flash. That's always real important. So once I've established light, then the next step that I do in my camera is I select my ISO. And the ISO is going to determine how much quality my picture is going to have. And I know it sounds a little crazy, but we'll go into that in the class if you decide to come and join us. But essentially ISO 100 and ISO 200 are used for outdoor situations, usually in full sun like we are out here today. And then also they move up from there, 400 and 800 being for cloudy days, and usually most indoor situations, if you're working without a flash, you want to work at 1600. Then after that, we want to establish a working aperture, and that's the first thing that we're gonna actually go into that a little bit more today as we move along. But aperture is actually a component of your flash. Is a component of your lens. And it determines how much light is entering the camera. And to keep it real simple, we're going to be working all of our settings in full stops. So our initial setting starts at 2.8, and then the next full stop would be f4, going up to 5.6, f8, and f11. And I usually don't use f16, but we will mention it, f16. So if you learn to work with those settings, it kind of eliminates the thought that there's a whole bunch of settings that you have to remember. There really is not. If you stay working with your full stops in the beginning, I think that's the best route to go. And then as you get more comfortable adjusting your camera in manual, because it will take a little getting used to, then you can start to fine-tune by using half stops and third stops. So here's what we are going to do today. Today we are actually working on aperture. So I'm going to take a few pictures at different working apertures, and the best way for somebody to actually look and see what aperture is doing for them in the picture is to actually go through and use the same setup. We're going to leave all the settings the same. We're going to leave, once we establish our ISO, once we establish our shutter speed, the only thing that we're going to be adjusting here on the camera is our aperture. And then we're going to go back and we're going to take a look at these different pictures. I'm going to shoot one at 2.8, one at f4, one at 5.6, one at f8, and f11. And just for shits and grins, like I said, I never use f16, but we'll do one at f16. So that's only 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 11. No, I take it back. That's 5. That's 6 total apertures to choose from. And essentially, once you know what those 6 apertures give you, mentally you'll have an idea of what they do for you, and then that'll be better. It'll better enable you to decide what working aperture you want to be at. And of course, like I said, that varies from picture to picture. If you're taking a portrait, you want it to look different than if you're taking a family portrait versus my damn phone going off and screwing up everything. Okay, here we are back after my phone decided to go off. But as I was saying, that's 6 working apertures. We're going to show you what they look like. We're not going to change anything else because we're shooting in manual. We're going to show you what they look like. You can decide what you would like to be at. And also you'll see the difference between a 5.6, which is a kit lens, And some kit lenses will go to f4 at wider focal lengths, but then I'll show you the difference between the 5.6 and the 2.8 and why it's a nice lens that everybody seems to want. And I also have an older 80 to 200 millimeter 5.6, but we'll show you what that looks like, because there are some advantages of having a longer telephoto lens too, and we'll go into that too. So let's take a look at the first picture here, and I want you to notice how blown out the backdrop is on this picture. This is shot at 2.8, and it creates a very pleasing background, as you can tell. The next picture up, we have the f4. Still have some blur here, not nearly as much as the 2.8, but it is pretty close, very similar looking. And also, just to keep in mind, the 2.8, the difference between a Canon 2.8 and a Canon 4.0 non-IS, you're looking at around maybe about a $400 difference. And then the next one up will be the 5.6 shot. And here we go, here's the 5.6. This is a picture that you will find that is possible with almost every kit lens. That if you ever bought a camera from the box store and the lens that came in it is a 5.6. And this is basically what you're gonna be getting here. 5.6 is also a good working aperture for portraits. Even on nicer lenses that do go to 2.8, I still do a lot of my portraits at 5.6 because it's a little bit more lenient towards making focusing mistakes. So I tend to use 5.6. As you go up to f8, I want you to look really closely at this picture. You're going to get a lot more in focus. You can actually start doing some landscapes at f8, and I would highly recommend you using f8 for any kind of portraits of families, just to make sure that if you have more than one row, if you're working with 2 rows or maybe even 3, f8 is going to get it done, because there's quite a bit in focus at f8. f11, I very rarely use f11, but here we go. It's pretty clean shot. As you can tell from looking at the picture, it's pretty sharp across all the picture from top to bottom, and most of it from front to back as well. And then at f16, it's clearly in focus from front, almost entirely from front to back. And most landscape photographers will shoot at f11, f16, just to keep everything nice and clean. So here we are, we're back here at Converse Park. So as you can tell by the pictures, your working aperture definitely does play a very significant role in your picture. And as you can tell by the pictures, there is a great difference between 2.8 and say 5.6, and there's a huge difference between 2.8 and f16. And see, as you can tell, looking at the pictures, different situations will call for different working apertures, and so you need to keep that in mind when you're setting it up. I mean, me personally, this is what I generally shoot. I generally shoot 2.8, 5.6, or oh shoot, I got bugs in my hair. Or I'll go up to f8, and usually those are the only 3 f-stops for the most part that I use. As you know, like I've mentioned in my class before, there's no right or wrong. You can work however you care to work, and you can use any working aperture that works for you. But for me personally, I shoot 2.8, 5.6, and f8. If I'm shooting a family with more than one person, it's f8. If it's one person, I'm shooting at 5.6. And usually if it's something that they really want super special looking or kind of different looking or very, very professional looking, I'll try to go up to 2.8. But I don't take too many at 2.8. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this little show up. This was about aperture. And if you want to join us again, like I said, we have this class going on. It's been fantastic so far. And we've had a few people show up. We want to add more people. We want to get you more comfortable with your camera. We want you to shoot in manual. So we want you to come on out, join us. Like I mentioned before, there is a small fee, but totally worth it. I don't think there's anybody in the class right now that would regret paying the money that they paid to get the ideas, the hints, and also kind of pick at my brain a little bit, as I've been doing this a very long time. So please come out and join us. It's every Wednesday. We meet there from 6 to 9. The The address there is 320 El Paso Street, and it's in beautiful downtown San Antonio. It's a great location. As you guys know, I live here in Converse, so it's kind of a ways for me. I know that there's people coming from other little towns nearby San Antonio. They were in the first class, and I appreciate them driving all the way out there to meet us and join us. So I think downtown is just the best place to be at. It's close for everybody. So come out and join us, okay? We appreciate it, and we want you back. And I'll be creating more of these videos as the class moves along. But please shoot manual, keep trying, don't give up. And also remember that you're not going to get good pictures until you take a lot of bad pictures. So I would suggest you get out there, start shooting, take all your bad pictures, get them out of your system so you can start taking the good ones. So till then, you take care. This is Alfonso Chavez. You can find us on the website. The website is www.camera64.com, or you can send us an email, and that's Alfonso, my name, at camera64.com. Or you can also give us a call. I love taking calls, so go ahead and give us a call. It's 210-213-8061. And again, this is Alfonso Chavez, and we got Alan over there on the cameras, running the cameras for us. You'll be seeing him in these shows here too coming up once I build his confidence a little bit. But till next time, you keep shooting and you take care. This is Alfonso from Converse, Texas. Have a good night.